Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today we've got a bunch of cards to look at that have been officially revealed from Temporal Forces. Of course, I gave you my reveals earlier today. They were, as far as I'm concerned, very good reveals. They have moved me from Team Ancient to Team Future, which I did not think was going to happen. I was delighted about that. But we're not talking about my reveals today, we're talking about other people's reveals. Reveals from other people that Pokemon have given reveals to, and I think that's frankly rather lovely. Sound like a plan? Excellent. So let's start off having a little bit of a look at Gengar. Now, Full Art Gengar was revealed by westfrance.fr. And it's Gengar. And look, we had Gengar revealed the other day. We knew Gengar was coming. That was a thing. But we've now got the lovely full art version of it as well. And I, for one, am all in favour of it. Now, Gengar is not the best Pokemon in the set. I don't mean to be rude when I say this. Please don't think I'm dissing Gengar. But frankly, Gengar is just fine. We've got an ability whereby when your opponent attacks an energy from the hand to one of their Pokemon, you put 2 damage counters of it. We've had abilities like this in the past that frankly haven't come to much. It's likely to be a similar thing here. We've also got an attack for 2 energy that does 116. You can move an energy from your opponent's active to one of their bench. There will be situations where moving that energy can be kind of hilarious, but I think a lot of the time it's going to end up being not quite good enough. They did also show us the Phantominus and Spectrum, Ghastly and Haunter, neither of which are particularly amazing, I'm gonna be honest with you, but they're still pretty gosh darn cool Pokemon. And we got the whole Gengar line, including the full art, and that's lovely. Now, the Grubbin and Charjabug have gone and been revealed by the lovely Jamie Jo Art over on Facebook. Jamie Jo is awesome, and she does amazing artwork. Do make sure you check out her art. Her art is like legit phenomenal. She did a live painting at the Van Gogh Museum at the launch party for the Pokemon collab they did. And yeah, she's brilliant. So check out her art. It's phenomenal. But she's gone and shown us Grubbin and Charjabug. I was going to credit Pokebip over on Twitter, but unfortunately they were the French language reveals. And as much as I like me some good French language reveals, when we got some English language reveals, I'm afraid they trump. Now, the Charjabug is not a good card. It's not a particularly relevant card. We have had, and I've told this before, weirdly, Charjabug gets a weirdly large amount of love from Pokemon. Like, considering it's just some random stage 1, the love that Charjabug gets is weird. We obviously had Radiant Charjabug, which is a very cool card. And then, of course, we had that Charjabug a while ago now that you could attach as 2 energy cards. Why did we have a Charjabug that you could attach as a double energy? I don't know. Somebody over at Pokemon loves Charjabug, and that's kind of lovely. The card isn't relevant from a playability standpoint, but it's a beautiful card, and that's rather lovely. The Grubbin, weirdly, in terms of playability, is actually more relevant, because for a single energy, you search your deck for 2 Grubbin and whack them on your bench. So, the ability to go and get 2 Grubbin and start building up your bench is actually pretty kind of cool. So, yay! That's kind of nice. Go team! So, yeah. Love the art, and it is obviously the illustration rare. It's a beautiful illustration rare. We love the artwork. And Grubbin's got a decent attack. Outside of that, I think we good. One that I am very happy about, though, is that we are getting ourselves an illustration rare Arbok. Arbok is not a Pokemon that Pokemon show a lot of love to. It is not one that gets a lot of weird, cool cards. Arbok is often left out in the cold. Well, no longer, ladies and gentlemen, because now we've got this one, and oh my word, I adore the artwork. It is phenomenal. These reveals, by the way, came from Eurogamer.es, which, of course, is España, which is Spanish, so these are Spanish language reveals. As far as I am aware, that is the best we've got. They've not been shown off in English. If anyone would like to prove me wrong, I would not be offended. And of course, the Ekans was shown off as well. They come as a pair. It's rather nice. In terms of what the Arbok actually does, it basically says that your opponent's active Pokemon is confused, poisoned, and burned. That's quite a lot, incidentally. That is a lot of special conditions, which is kind of cool. It is a stage 1, even though it's single energy, it is still a stage 1. And the idea of having to put a stage 1 into play to get these 3 special conditions. I mean, look, poisoned and burned means basically 3 damage counters. 1 from poison, 2 from burn. And the poison is going to keep building up every turn, and the burn is going to keep building up every turn or during Pokemon checkup, unless your opponent flips a heads. Remember, for burn, you take the damage and then you flip a heads, and if it's heads, or you flip a coin, and if it's heads, yay, you're not burned anymore. If it's tails, you're still burned. Next Pokemon checkup, you take 2 damage counters, flip a coin, and round and round and round and round we go. Lovely. And the thing is, this can add up quite nicely, and then you combine it with the confusion that makes your opponent take damage if they flip tails when attacking, and you're like, yes. But actually, in reality, it's a kind of thing that in a pre-release could be super duper duper annoying. I adore this as a pre-release card. As an actual legitimate tournament card, I have my reservations. But it's time we move on to talk about some supporter cards, and how about Eri that has gone and been revealed by the lovely Joe over at Serebii.net. Joe got the official reveal of the special illustration rare Eri, and this is a lovely card because you've got yourself your Annihilate, your Toxicroak, your Passimian, your Lucario. It's one of those wonderful artworks whereby you've actually got just a whole bunch of other Pokemon just kind of chilling in the background. I adore these cards. I think these kind of cards are amazing and brilliant and wonderful, and I am frankly a very, very big fan. It's cool. As what the card actually does, you get to look at your opponent's hand and discard up to 2 item cards that you find there. And there are going to be times where your opponent doesn't have a supporter, or they're having a slower game, etc., etc., where you can drop an Eri and just absolutely wreck them, and it's going to be hilarious. Most of the time, the reality here is going to be you're fishing, unless you're playing a deck which is very much designed for it. So if you're playing a deck, the aim of which is to consistently go after your opponent's hand, lower their hand size, etc., this is amazing. Outside of that, I mean, there'll be plenty of times you just randomly play this and you hit yourself a couple of item cards and your opponent then has nothing for several turns and loses. That will absolutely happen. But there'll be plenty of times you play this and they've got a supporter card ready to go. Or you just don't hit anything and you kind of wasted your supporter for the turn. That is, well, at the risk of being a bit mean, less than ideal. But I want to finish off with one last card. We've got Full Art Morty, which has been revealed by Raizor, Raizor, over on Twitter. And I kind of like Morty. Morty is kind of cool. Or Jens, I suppose, because it's German. So, yeah. Jens or Morty, go where you will. And what we've got here is a lovely supporter card, whereby you discard a card from your hand, and you draw a card for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. And this is a weird one to me, because on the one hand, this is clearly, potentially, a very good draw supporter. Remember, Pokemon's got this rule whereby they just won't give us a pure draw 4. For years and years and years, this has been the case. You can draw 4, but there's always some kind of catch or massive drawback, or, you know, you've got to really work to draw 4. Well, here, you're drawing 5 if your opponent's got a full bench. We'll get there in a minute. And I know some of you are going to go, wassy, 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 don't forget you have to discard a card from your hand. And you do, but that's actually sometimes going to be a really good thing, because that means that you're going to be able to essentially get a card in the discard that you want, or empty out your hand a little bit. It's not the end of the world to have to discard a card from your hand. Cool. The problem comes in because your opponent can just play around it. And that's kind of the issue here. Because if your opponent limits their bench, that's a problem. Now, I know not every deck can. Not every deck is designed to be able to function with a smaller bench. Sometimes your opponent will have to put a whole bunch of cards on their bench just for their deck to function. And if this is a reliable discard a card from your hand, draw 5, phenomenal. The problem is, it is not necessarily that, and therein comes the problem. Right, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you need to know, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me which of these cards take your fancy, tell me which of these cards excite you, tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely Smash Cafe, who have been a supporter of ours for a while now and are very lovely people, at least it seems to be. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.